Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back with another NCAA women's topic, and congratulations to UCLA for winning the national championship. So the off season is upon us, or postseason, or well, off season is upon us. So of course, there's big talks about the portal, and of course, the biggest name to enter the women's portal so far is Audi Crooks. Now, if you know Audi Crooks, she's a force in the middle for the Iowa State Cyclones, but for the most part, they've had a ceiling. They don't have many more pieces around Audi, but she was been so dominant that she's pretty much been carrying that team. But this year, they had a big streak where she was scoring all these points. And once she came down to some kind of normalcy, the team suffered because they didn't have much around her. So I think now she's starting to see that she has a ceiling in Iowa State, and that they're not going to be able to get the big recruits. So she wants to go win, which most people don't blame her for, because if you're a great player, you want to win. It's not just about getting your stats. So it's a good sign, I think, for women's basketball. But I think one of the biggest things as well is she's coming upon her fourth year. So will she stay an extra year? That's yet to see. Or will she have that extra year of eligibility, and will she stay? Because with her talent, she could have left a couple of years ago. She has amazing footwork. She has she's very dominant. She's not the tallest of players. I believe she's around 6'2", 6'3". But she's so physical, and um, she just takes up a lot of space in the paint. So a lot of people can't deal with her. And a lot of people don't want to deal with her. She's basically the female Shaquille O'Neal, as I always say. We never seen a force like her in women's basketball, not just collegial, but the WNBA as well. So it'll be a nice sight to see where she goes. But the next talk is, where is her next destination? So I've compiled a list of places I would like to see her at that makes a lot of sense and correct things for women's basketball next year, especially with all the returning pieces that are coming back, especially since she only has maybe one, possibly two more years left. So, and I think she's the most dominant force in women's college basketball, behind Sarah Strong, who's more versatile and can shoot from the outside, can score from the inside, very dominant on defense. And of course, Lauren Betts, who's leaving for the WNBA, who just won the national championship. So, other than those two guys, she's the two women. She's the dominant force next to those. But with Lauren Betts leaving, it's just going to be her and Sarah Strong for the foreseeable future. Now, Joyce Edwards is on her way, but she's not as physical. She's more of a finesse, a KG type front court player. So, but where will Audie go next? So one of the first obvious choices is UConn, because if you put Audie on UConn next to Sarah Strong, now you have a pure front court player, and then you have a player that can go from the outside and inside, and you can make more space for Audie in the middle, because you can't leave Sarah Strong open on the wings. So you have an undeniable force, and then you have Gino at the helm. You lose AZ Fudd, but you have other pieces around this that's coming in as well. But I think UConn would make a lot of sense, but it'll make a lot of people make UConn the villain even more so than they are now, especially with those 13 national championships. So I think that team would make, them the arch nemesis. Everyone would try to beat them every year. Well, for that year, but I don't think it would be the best fit for Artie going to a draft class, because she's going to get the same looks, because you have to share the light with Sarah Strong, who was the national college player of the year for the women. So you won't get much shine as you did in Iowa State. Now, another choice is TCU, because she followed the path of a Haley Van Lith and Olivia Miles, transferring from schools that they were at for a while, and then they left these schools, and to create a whole new narrative and go to and become high draft picks. Now, TCU would be a perfect fit, I think, for Audi, because I think they could put the requisite pieces around her. And when I say requisite pieces, I mean the shooters, the scorers, the talent around her. And it's a big state that can draw a lot of recruits. So they can get recruits down there, opposed to Iowa State. It's not much in Iowa. So I don't think they can attract the big names like they can. It's not like men where you can just pay a bunch of people and they can come and they'll go there. Women just go, they're more loyal to their states, they're more loyal to things that they care about. And that's not necessarily money opposed to the men's game. So I don't think Iowa State will be able to do that. But TCU being a Big 12 school, being very competitive for what they do, I think that would be a good fit for her as well. But she would be going to the rivals essentially because she was at a Big 12 school already. Um, so that's another fit. USC, they have Juju Watkins returning. They have Jazzy Davison. They have Kennedy Smith. They have the incoming Sanaya Hall coming in as well. So they have a lot of pieces, and she would just be a cog in the system for the most part. So I don't think she would probably go there because her minutes would be there because she would definitely start because they don't have a center like her, especially since Kiki Ariafin left for the WNBA. But I do think that they would be an unstoppable force. They would be essentially the 2017 Warriors with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond. They would have that type of team, especially being on the West Coast, and they would be unstoppable. I think that team would go undefeated and win every game by easily a margin of 20 to 30 points, kind of like what UConn did this year, but they would finish the deal. Now, another place I was thinking about Audi going to is LSU. Now, with Flau'jae leaving, they still have Malaysia Fulwiley, they have Michaela Williams, they have Jada Richard, they have Zakiya Johnson, and of course you have Kim Mulkey at the helm. But that would be so much talent. But with LSU, I think she would be a dominant force that you would have to deal with. But you couldn't double team her because you have all of these shooters and scorers on the outside, and then you have the bench plus the new players that they have that are coming along like Grace Barr and others. So that's another Warriors like team that would take away from the parity of women's basketball. So it wouldn't be the best look for women's basketball, but in a way it would because it would create this villainous type team that would bring more eyeballs to the game of women's basketball. So it could be a double-edged sword. People come to boo and people come to cheer. So you would create that narrative. And plus, people already are not too favorable of Kim Mulkey and her coaching style and her personality. So this would create such vitriol for that team, but it would do numbers for women's basketball and LSU program specifically. So that's definitely something to look out for. So South Carolina is another obvious one. They are losing Raven Johnson, who was key to that team, especially defensively. But they have a Cobb McKeer who's on the way. They have Tessa Johnson. She'll be in her fourth year. They have Joyce Edwards coming back for her third year, I believe. And I think Audie going to this team would help the legacy of Coach Staley because I think she will be able to get that championship she hasn't been able to get in a couple of years and give her that dominant force, a dominant force she hasn't had truly since Asia Wilson. And Asia Wilson was dominant, but she wasn't dominant in the same way as Audie is because Audie can just move bodies and just, when she turn around and, does that spin move, everybody's disappearing or by force or by choice. So she is one of those pieces that I think could set the tone for South Carolina because usually Adon goes for finesse type players because most coaches, recruit or their players take on the characteristics of the coach. And Coach Staley was a tough player when she played, but I think she goes for more of the finesse players because they can run up and down the court and run the offense like she wants to. And Audie has speed for her size, but she wouldn't be able to run up and down the court with her. So I think it makes sense in terms of winning, but you would have to change the way you play. They will have to play more half court, but they can still get steals and stuff like that. And she doesn't really have to run down the court if it's a fast break, essentially. But they would definitely have to play. There would be more of a half court team. But if you have Audie, you would definitely want to switch to a half court team because you slow the game down and you can just be dominant and just kill teams slowly. So that's something that they would do. And UCLA, I think, will be a good fit, especially with the exit of Lauren Betts. And, you still have Sienna Betts, who is Lauren Betts' sister there. You still have the other pieces that they had, and UCLA had a pretty experienced and older team, so they will lose a lot of their stars, either due to graduation or the WNBA. So it will only be right to restock the cupboard with a player like Audi Crooks until you can get back on your feet with more recruits, which I'm sure they'll get more recruits next year, but you need some kind of experience on that team. You can't just start over with all freshmen. You need somebody who's been there and can take you there. And I think Audi is that they're just a piece away from that, to restocking that cupboard, to getting back to that um, greatness that they had last year or this year, winning that national championship. And then lastly, I think Texas, she'll be a great fit for because Rory Harmon is leaving. So you can pair Audie with Madison Booker. And then they have all of the younger pieces that they have, like Jordan Lee and Justice Carlson, who are evolving and are getting there. And I think with the addition of Audie Crooks can help those pieces, those younger pieces, evolve even more. So I do think that Texas might be the biggest fit, either whether it's Texas or TCU. But I think LSU or South Carolina or UConn, if she wants to win now, those programs will serve the best for those purposes. But fit wise, I think Texas itself might be the best fit just because of Madison Booker and they're in the same year. And then with the younger pieces that they have and Coach Vic, I think they could do great things, especially even in the SEC. I think they could run through the SEC for the most part because Texas did it without Audie, with just Rory and with Madison Booker. So tell me your thoughts about Audie's next stop. And until next time, see you next time.